playing with your gun is bad luck.
You worry too much. What are we reviewing today, anyway?
Because it's Mecha March, I thought we'd do a mech movie.
Okay.
Gunhed.
Wait, isn't that one movie that was written to be a Godzilla movie, but then rewritten to not be a Godzilla movie?
Indeed.
Oh, okay.
The film starts out with a wall of text explaining the backstory of the film. This is followed by a voiceover explaining the rest of the backstory.
Well, long story short, in 2005 on the island of AJO, a company built a self-contained industrial facility which made advanced robots under the control of Chiron tribes, which became self-aware in 2025 and started the Great Robot War. Then in the 2030s, mankind discovered an energy substance called technetium, which was important and kept under heavy guard, while at the same time computers became even more important and conductive plastics and computer chips became rare and thus more valuable than gold.
Alright guys, did you get all that? Okay, let's start the movie. The film then gives a scene of soldiers and mech tanks called Gunheads fighting a battle at 8JO.
Then the film jumps ahead 13 years as we join a group of scavengers led by Bancho as they fly in his ship, the Marianne, to 8JO to gather the chips that remain there. Bancho forces the newest member of the team, Brooklyn, to fly the plane when another member, Bebe, comes in and tells Bancho off since Brooklyn is scared stiff at the wheel. Soon Bancho warns Brooklyn not to play with his gun.
See? Even this guy gets... Hey, stop that! The group has arrived at 8JO and begins to infiltrate the facility, noticing the Texas Air Rangers have been here, given the crashed hovercraft. One of the groups tried to convince the other to leave the place right away, but they continued into the facilities. The pair of bandits on the roof are killed by the facility's auto defenses. In an elevator, Brooklyn suggests they also look for gunhead parts, which are also worth quite a bit. Bancho again tells him to stop playing with his gun. Give me that.
Things take a turn for the worse when Bancho falls through the floor and they have to stop the elevator. A spike pierces the floor and kills one of the group, forcing the others to make a run for it.
Oh man, I like that guy. He was cool. Just afterwards, the group run into Nim, a Texas Air Ranger and the last survivor of her team. Nim explains that the Rangers were chasing a rogue biodroid, following it into 8JO. Brooklyn finds Bancho's hat and returns to the others. Nim and the bandits head out, but Nim falls and goes unconscious. Bebe and the other bandit, Bombay, continue forward, eventually coming up to a floating sound mine.
Look out! It's a flying clam!
Making it past the floating mine, Bombay spots the biodroid and gives chase. Brooklyn and Nim encounter another mine, but Brooklyn figures out it's a dud. Or not. Bombay is killed by the biodroid, leaving only Bebe, Brooklyn, and Nim. The group continue deeper into the facility, arriving at the Chiron Dome, where they find a countdown.
Why would there be a countdown? The group inches their way to the center of the Chiron Dome when the biodrone attacks, diving into the vat of liquid. The biodroid places the vial into the center of the Chiron Dome, which Nim grabs. The group are surprised by a noise and Bebe falls into the vat. Bebe gives the vial to Brooklyn before sinking below the surface one last time. Nim and Brooklyn get into a fight over the vial and fall into a hole. The two are then attacked by a scorpion-like aerobot. The pair are forced to martyr their way down a tube to escape.
Brooklyn wakes up sometime later, wondering how he got there. Brooklyn then meets a boy hiding inside a robot costume, 7, who rescued him. We're also introduced to the mute girl, 11. Also turns out Nim's okay too. Brooklyn and Nim debate how to find a way off the island. The group are forced to flee when they're attacked by the facility's defenses.
Oh man, not again. Can't these guys get a break? Brooklyn fixes up a vehicle and learns that Nim saved him earlier. With 7 and 11 help, they decide to make their way up to Marianne, which means returning to Chiron Dome.
Back at Chiron Dome, the biodroid returns to the surface of the vat. At level 10, the group happen upon the remains of a Gunhed battalion. Brooklyn decides to put one of the machines back together, despite Nim's protests.
Cool, they got their own big robot. It's called a Gunhed, Kaiju Master. Still a robot, Proto-Met.
Charon 5 detects the group and sends the biodroid after them. Booting the computer back up, the group learns that the vial contains Texmexium that Chiron might be planning to use to restart the war. Nim tells Brooklyn to fix and pilot the Gunhed, but Brooklyn admits that he's scared to pilot anything. Brooklyn keeps working on fixing the Gunhed with 7's help while Nim goes off with 11 to stop Chiron 5.
Brooklyn is attacked by the biodroid, which has fused with Bebe. Bebe forces the biodroid to leave Brooklyn alone and instead go after Nim, who has the Texmexium. On level 45, 11 triggers a trap but isn't harmed by it. Brooklyn manages to contact Nim via radio and inform her that the biodroid wrecked the Gunhed, and Nim gives him some advice.
You know, the true hero doesn't think about what he's doing.
He doesn't even know he's a hero. He does things because he knows he has to.
Awesome speech.
Brooklyn and 7 work on repairing the Gunhed, making excellent progress via montage.
Crazy to montage.
While Nim and 11 continue towards Chiron Dome. Nim is attacked by the biodroid, which recovers the Texmexium. Brooklyn finished repairing Gunhed and opts to head out to join Nim. 7 and Brooklyn outfit the Gunhed with weapons. After blowing open a wall and moving into position, Gunhed is ready to deploy.
Making its way to a vertical shaft, Gunhed launches grappling hooks to make the ascent. Bebe struggles to control the biodroid from within. The biodroid launches an attack on the Gunhed, but Brooklyn manages to avoid the torpedo.
That's right, you can't stop this, Gunhed. Hey, you got it right there. Still a robot.
While climbing the shaft, Brooklyn learns that 7 has hitched a ride on the Gunhed. Gunhed makes it safely as the shaft ceiling comes crashing down. Brooklyn instructs 7 on his role in the plan to escape, also telling 7 that playing with guns is bad luck.
Say that.
Heading out, the Gunhed comes across an oil canal and has to drive through it while avoiding enemy fire, getting Brooklyn dirty in the process.
Dang, he got dirty.
Gunhed heads up an elevator to get supplies while Brooklyn rests. 7 enacts his part of the plan, dropping bombs to trick the facility's vibration sensors.
Gunhed informs Brooklyn that Charon is going to turn the tower into a nuclear reactor. Gunhed instructs Brooklyn to place mirrors so Gunhed can cover Brooklyn while he gathers supplies. Brooklyn is attacked by defense weapons controlled by Chiron, but Gunhed shoots back. After winning the fight, Gunhed ascends an elevator shaft.
The biodroid begins scanning all of the floors of the facility in an attempt to find the Gunhed. Brooklyn is forced to manually shoot down missiles after Gunhead's weapons are damaged, while Bebe continues to struggle inside the biodroid. 7 sneaks around the facility using his robot disguise from earlier.
The biodroid attempts to activate Chiron 5, learning that the keyword to activate the system will soon arrive. 7 returns to water the garden when he hears a noise, beginning to fire his gun wildly. Gunhed runs low on fuel as he reminds Brooklyn not to play with his gun.
How many guns do you have? I don't know.
Gunhed tells Brooklyn to use the keg of whiskey, which can be used for fuel. Gunhed then starts spewing baseball terminology, encouraging Brooklyn, referencing his t-shirt.
Elsewhere, 11 begins reacting to something as 7 looks on, having been reunited with her and Nim. 11's mouth begins to glow. While Gunhed goes over the plans of attack with Brooklyn, it mentions that odds mean nothing when a human wants something bad enough. Brooklyn asks the Gunhed if it's related to Bancho, and Gunhed requests that if it goes down, he wants to be on his feet.
11 traps 7 and Nim, wandering off with her mouth still glowing. The Aerobot is deployed by Chiron 5. Gunhed starts playing baseball music and Brooklyn make their way to Chiron Dome. Gunhed is confronted by the Aerobot and the two mechs begin firing on each other. When the Aerobot corners the Gunhed, Brooklyn fires wildly, shooting out one of the Aerobot's optics.
The biodroid watches as the keyword, 11, arrives at Chiron Dome. Gunhed and the Aerobot continue their fight as Nim makes her way to the Chiron Dome. Brooklyn launches an attack that destroys another of the Aerobot's optics. Nim snaps 11 out of her trance and she starts freaking out.
The Aerobot presses the attack on Gunhed. The biodroid draws near Nim, who fires on it. Brooklyn is forced to eject from the now heavily damaged Gunhed, and then he lifts up Gunhead's cannon on his shoulder, firing it on Aerobot, destroying the enemy mech.
Nim swipes the Tex-Maxim while being pursued by the biodroid, while Bebe continues to fight for control as Brooklyn arrives at Chiron Dome. Bebe pulls the pin on her grenade, destroying the biodroid from within and saving the others. 11 gets her voice back and goes looking for 7.
Chiron activates the self-destruct sequence. Gunhed managed to delay the self-destruction, but for only 15 minutes, forcing the group to race up to Marianne. The humans make it to Marianne and escape as Chiron detonates. Aboard the Marianne, Gunhed sends his final message and Brooklyn takes control of the plane as the film ends. Well, that was Gunhed, a pretty good movie.
Yeah, it's pretty darn good special effects for the mechs, I must say.
Yeah.
Well, that wraps up Mecha March. Check back next year for another look at another Mecha movie.
But next month, we're going back to Kaiju. What have I told you this entire review? Why do you keep playing with your gun?
You know, you are too worried. It's not like I'm gonna shoot myself. Oh my foot!
I told you to stop playing with that gun. It's bad luck. Now look what happened. I'm not gonna call 911 because you won't learn anything.